The Springfield Armory 1911 Ronin in 10mm. Let's check it out. Feel the power. Springfield Armory got its start in 1974 producing M1 Garands, M14s, which are now the M1As, and also 1911s. These are all made right here in the USA, and their 1911s are some of the best on the market, and yet they're reasonably priced. So one of the things about Springfield Armory that's always appealed to me is that the quality is excellent, and yet it doesn't break the bank. But they also produce their XD series, which is actually produced in Croatia, and Springfield Armory is well known for that as well. And so today we're going to take a look at a new offering, the Ronin 1911 in 10mm. And man, this thing is powerful. And guys, when it comes to the 10mm caliber, there is nothing I like shooting it out of better than a 1911. The thin grip, it just handles well, you can manage the recoil, and plus, just excellent good looks. And I want to thank Springfield Armory for sending the Ronin for this test and evaluation. The Springfield Armory 1911 Ronin is an excellent handgun all in itself, and they've been making them in 9mm and 45 for a while. They also make a commander version with a 4.25-inch barrel. This is the government size 5-inch barrel in 10mm. This is a brand new offering from Springfield Armory, and anytime 10mm comes up, guys, it's just one of my favorite calibers. The power behind it is just exceptional. Ronin is actually a Japanese word from samurai legend, which means drifter or wanderer. If I was drifting or wandering, I would love to have a 10mm at my side. And this one carries 8+1. You have a single stack magazine. It does only come with one magazine. But one of the things I want to warn you about is don't put 9 rounds in the magazine, because you can, and while it'll still fire. In fact, all the range testing I did, I was shooting it with 9 in the magazine. It can be a little tough to rack at times. And guys, 10mm is just an incredible round. It'll exceed .357 Magnum. We've got our magazine out. We'll go ahead and check to make sure the gun is unloaded and it's clear. This is a 1911 style, which means it's a single action semi-automatic pistol. And that means that when you load a round in the chamber, the hammer comes into the rear position. You can actually throw up your safety, and then you can carry it what they call cocked and locked, or you can drop it, of course, and you can fire it. But it also has a grip safety right here. So unless that is depressed, it will not fire. The hammer is in the locked position. Press it, bam. And that comes from military doctrine back during World War I, when they first introduced the 1911s and began to issue them. It was just part of what the military used, and it stuck with the 1911. The great thing about these beaver tails is it's a high rod beaver tail, has a memory notch, and it just allows you to get a very high grip on the handgun, and yet when the hammer comes back, you don't have to worry about slide bite or hammer bite. And some of the original 1911s had an abbreviated grip safety and with a tang hammer. This is part of the evolution of the 1911. Now you can see this thing is beautiful. The bluing is just exceptional. We have a stainless steel frame. It's just a beautiful gun. I mean, there's no doubt. It does have your front serrations, which allow for you to press check. And just a nice added feature to it. Now, being single action, when you first load that round again, the hammer is in the rear position, and you fire the pistol. When you fire it, it automatically comes back and allows you to fire it again. With the hammer in the down position, there is no movement from the trigger to the hammer. And so that's why it's called a single action. Now this has a lot of really incredible features on it that really belie the cost of this firearm, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The beautiful rosewood grips with the crossed cannons that are Springfield Armory, and it has really nice checkering. The flat mainspring housing, very well checkered, a lot of gripping to it. And then we just have a flat front strap, but it really gives you a good solid grip on the handgun with that back strap. So as the handgun is firing, this allows you to really help with mitigating recoil, because with a 10mm, you're getting more recoil than you would with a 45, but there's something very satisfying about it. Now this has just the one-sided safety right here, and you don't have it on the other side, which I like because it just gets in the way to me. It just makes it more broad. We have our slide stop right here, and then we have our mag release, which is typical 1911. We do have the Gen 2 speed trigger, and it's very thin. It allows it to maneuver very quickly. It is a very sweet trigger pull, and we'll take a look at the trigger action in a second. But you can see the bluing. I mean, it is just absolutely beautiful. Ronin operator right here engraved on the slide, very minimal. And then on the other side, Springfield Armory with the cross cannon logo here. So I like how just clean the firearm looks. I mean, guys, it is. It's just a beautiful handgun. I love the two-tone anyway. That's just one of my favorites. We have our standard barrel bushing. We'll look more at that when we break it down. The barrel is 5 inches, but it's cold hammer forged. And so that's going to give you extended life. In fact, the slide is forged and the receiver is forged. And it's not cast, which a lot of the budget 1911s are going to have your cast parts, your mem parts. These parts on this firearm are just very well made. And that's one of the things that Springfield Armory has really become known for, is to put out some really quality 1911s, way above the pack. And yet, they're not super expensive like a lot of the boutique 1911s that are out there. The sights have 2 dots in the rear, and then we have a fiber optic sight at the front. It is dovetailed, so you can remove that and put a different type sight in there if you'd like. But these sights really show up well. Of course, fiber optic in the daylight really just shines up bright. One thing I really like about this sight too is it has this little tactical shelf, so I can actually load this off my belt, off my shoe, whatever. I really like to have that ledge on my sights, especially that rear sight. But that to me is a beautiful picture. I'm just such a fan of 1911s, mainly because of just the quality and the legendary history behind the 1911, starting out in World War I and then all the way up through 1985 when it was replaced by the Beretta M9. And of course now we have the SIG M17. But the 1911 is still as popular today as it ever has been. And there's a lot of good reasons. Part of that is just because of the thinness of the grip. It's very pointable. Yes, you're losing some mag capacity, but you still have 8+1, and in 10mm, you're still doing pretty good. And I think the thinness of the 1911, the low bore axis, I think a lot of that has to do with the continued popularity of these firearms. And they're still used extensively in a lot of your competitive circuits. It's very tight fit, very solid lockup here at the front, here at the rear. I mean, in fact, honestly, when I first got this and I was looking it over, I was concerned that the tolerances were going to be so tight that I might have some reliability issues. And that just was not the case. This gun just really ran sweet and smooth. Guys, the biggest advantage of the 10mm is you're getting 357 Magnum Ballistics Plus, but this can be reliably fed through a semi-automatic pistol, whereas with the 357 Magnum, even though there have been some made, they're cumbersome, the case is longer, and it's not really suitable for a semi-automatic because it has a rim case. The 10mm takes care of that, and that's one of the big reasons why it's so popular. And speaking of 10mm, we have the XDM 10, and this is the 4.5 version, which means a 4.5 inch barrel. It does have the polymer frame, and of course, you know, you have your black oxide finish on the slide. To me, as far as a polymer frame 10mm pistol, this is one of the best. And the reason is because of the ergonomics of the grip. Just really solid, easy to grip. Let's go ahead and make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, and the gun is empty. This comes with a 15+1 magazine. So it's going to give you a lot of advantages as far as capacity over your 1911 with 8+1. But one of the things that's really different is the grip. It's just a larger grip, which is still very shootable, very ergonomic in your hand. But there's something about the 1911, especially shooting that 10mm. To me, I just really enjoy this a little bit better. But again, the XD-M10 to me is one of the best polymer framed 10mm, again, out on the market. Another thing that you're going to get is an accessory rail that's going to help. You're going to have lighter weight. And so it's one of those things you just have to decide if you want to go with the classic beauty of the Ronin or you want to go with just the practical functionality of the XD-M10. To me, it's good for both. I like to have both, and that's the reason I have them both on the table. But as far as the beauty goes, definitely the Ronin wins out hands down. The one thing that 1911s are well known for is an exceptional trigger. We're going to bring our hammer back. A little bit of take up right here. Man, that is a crisp break. Reset right there. In fact, I let it go out farther than it should have. Real quick reset. Very smooth break. Very crisp. Just excellent. Trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. Got to depress the grip safety. 3 pounds. That's nice. 3 pounds, 6.7 ounces. Crisp and clean with no caffeine. Weight on the Ronin 1911 10mm. 2 pounds, 7 ounces. Now when it comes to handgun calibers, 10mm is one of my favorites. But my favorite handgun design to shoot it from is the 1911. It's thin, it's very pointable, and it just seems to be easier for the recoil. One of the things about a polymer striker fire 10mm is typically they try to really get a lot of rounds in the magazine, which is a benefit, but yet it makes your grip a little bit large. And so I love shooting just that thin grip and the full steel frame. It just makes this a real pleasure to shoot, and yet you know you've got a handful. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made right here in the USA. This is 180 grain, jacketed hollow points, moving at about 1,250 feet per second. So we've got a pretty stout round. Now when taking the Ronin down to the range, I was really looking forward to it. I really enjoy shooting 10mm in a 1911 style pistol. It's a very quality firearm, so putting those two together is just a beautiful thing. So we were shooting this, and actually I was getting 9 rounds in the magazine. I didn't really realize it was an 8+1. And we didn't have any malfunctions. It just seemed to do fine. One thing at first is when I was bringing the magazine in, it didn't seem to want to kind of seat, and that's because I had too many rounds in the magazine. But I still was able to get it, rack it, and bring one in, and again, getting 9 rounds through the magazine without any kind of malfunctions. It's just a good solid handgun. You feel like it's really solid. No serrations or anything on the front, but that checkered back strap seems to really allow you to lock in. And then of course the grips. Guys, I'm so used to shooting 1911s though that it just feels like coming home to me whenever I go to the 1911. But I'm used to the 45, so you know when that 10mm goes off that you have something with a lot of power in your hand. And that's one of the great things about this as far as taking for hunting. If you're going hiking, camping, whatever, this is a great round to have in the outdoors. Of course, with the velocities getting up there to past 357 Magnum, you do have a lot of power. It's smooth shooting, it's very easy on the hand. We shot about 300 rounds through this pistol, and when I say we, I mean me. Just went through it. Of course, right now with some of the ammo issues, we had to keep it down to that. But honestly, over about an hour shooting that, it was no discomfort to the hand. It felt really good, and the only reason I stopped is because I just ran out of ammo. Now, as far as disassembly, one tool that I'm going to use is this little barrel bushing wrench. Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. It's just according to how tight this is. First thing I want to do is make sure, of course, the gun is unloaded, the chamber is empty. Let's go ahead and bring back our slide. I'm going to lock it into this little groove, the first little notch, and then we push out our slide stop. Bring it all the way out, then just let this kind of release. Now, before we release it all the way, we're going to take our tool. You push down right here, and this is the plug, the recoil spring plug, and then we turn the bushing clockwise. Now what we do is release this very slowly. Put your finger on the plug. There we go. Now we take the bushing and just go in the other direction, and then it'll come out of the front of the barrel. You'll see this little key right here. It fits into the groove inside the slide. Now I'm going to take off the plug, and then we just bring out our slide. Now here you have the guide rod and recoil spring. Pull it out. This is traditional 1911, and then this will actually separate from the guide rod. Take your link, push it down, and then push your barrel out the front of the slide, just like that. To be honest, I don't know that we needed the wrench, but this definitely comes in handy if you have a 1911. Fit and finish inside the frame is beautiful, very well done. This is stainless. Also with the slide, no tooling marks. Fingerprints are all over it, but that comes with breaking it down. But really a very well done 1911. Here we have our feed ramp, and it is polished. Once we clean it up just a little bit, have your Browning link design. That's all you need to do to field strip the firearm. In reverse order, we're going to take our barrel, put it again from the front of the slide. Go ahead and bring up your barrel link. Next we take our recoil spring and guide rod, fit it in with the little small legs, put them against the barrel once we go through the slide. Now make sure your barrel link is kind of down in a position like this, because you're going to need to put your slide stop through it. We're going to go ahead and bring it back. Now you may need to touch your barrel just to get this slide to move back, but you'll see this little notch right here. Now this is one place you need to be really careful. We want to make sure that this goes into the link, and then we don't want to put an idiot scratch right here on the frame. So you want to get it up there to where you can just pop it in just like that, and that goes into it. Then we push the slide forward. Take your bushing, barrel bushing, go ahead and put it inside about at the 4 to 5 o'clock position. Then we rotate it around clockwise to about the 9 o'clock position. Take your mainspring plug or recoil spring plug, push it in, and then bring back your bushing. Snaps it right into place just like that. It's a little more complicated than a lot of our polymer frame striker fire pistols, but honestly, I've been doing this for so many years, it's not really that difficult once you get the hang of it. Now it comes in just a standard cardboard box, but it does have a nice finish to it. But what makes up for that is this really nice case inside. And I like the size. It's a very small case. It's not one of the big bulky cases. And of course, double zippers, open it up. It's going to protect your firearm. You can put extra magazines right here in this pouch. Very simple, padded, small. I like it. It comes wrapped in this plastic for protection. You have a really nice envelope with a ton of different information in here, your owner's manual and all that kind of stuff. Very well presented. Then here we have your standard lock, which is required, and then we have some fiber optic replacement rods. There's only one magazine, and that's probably one of the only things that I don't like. I would like to have at least a couple of magazines right out of the box. Now I'm going to talk about two things that I love about this handgun and one thing that I don't. The first thing is the price. Coming in MSRP at $849. I mean, that's a fantastic price for all the features and the construction of this firearm. Number two, what I love about it is it's just beautiful, the two-tone in 10mm. It just makes it an awesome handgun. The one thing I don't like about it is it's so beautiful. I don't know that I want to take it when I go hunting. Other than that, I love the Ronin 10mm 1911. But on the other hand, if you want more mag capacity, if you want the lighter weight, if you want that polymer frame, the XDM 10mm is also an excellent choice. And to me, probably one that I would take out into hunting and doing things like that that I was, had a possibility of scratching it up, because this 1911 is absolutely beautiful. But then again, there's nothing better than having something really beautiful at your side, gun or female. And again, I want to thank Springfield Armory for sending the Ronin 1911 10mm. They did get in touch with me, asked me if I would like to take a look at it, and of course, I didn't have to think about it. This has been a great experience, and it's a beautiful firearm. I think this is going to be added to the Suits collection. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suits00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. And they have made some really incredible, fantastic, awesome, super cool. Wow, I blew through all the details pretty quick. But I know the 1911. I don't know the mag capacity. Now, here we got it. Feel the power. Feel the power. Feel the power. No, this isn't the Star Wars Republic, and no, we don't live in a democracy. This is a constitutional republic. Let's keep it that way.